Protesters in Germany calling for Chancellor Angela Merkel to get out as she continues to let more refugees in. All of this coming in the wake of recent terror attacks in Germany by refugees. And now we're learning Europe's losing track of some of them, sparking all kinds of new fears about ISIS recruiting. Let's go right now to former CIA Director Jim Woolsey for more. Ambassador Woolsey, welcome. How bad, in your estimation, have things really gotten in Europe?
I think they've turned in a very negative direction. Usually you can count on the Germans to be well organized, to have a well-working economy, to keep order, and things are starting to come apart there. And if they're starting to come apart there, looking to places like Spain and Greece and France and elsewhere in Europe, there are a lot of things going on that aren't getting reported in the press. You have to go to special websites to find out, for example, about the German women who are being raped by immigrants. It's a very difficult situation politically for Angela Merkel and substantively for Germany and ultimately I think the rest of us.
You know, I can tell you, I read some of those websites, unfortunately, and the German press has reported on some of this. That we saw over the weekend, 24 more women were sexually assaulted in the town, a relatively small town of Bremen, Germany, and they have arrested some of the perpetrators. And what do you know, between the ages of 17 and 19, and they are all recently in Germany from Afghanistan. Clearly, this is a country, you think about the 1,200 women that were assaulted on New Year's Eve, 600 in Cologne, 400 in Hamburg, and 200 in other places throughout the country. And again, I don't care what side of the political aisle you are on, Ambassador Woolsey, it seems as though they've got a real problem with terrorism and also a real problem with this cultural integration that they are attempting to do.
Absolutely, and the Europeans aren't nearly as good at integrating people from other cultures as we are. Different countries are good at different things. We're pretty good at that. But the Europeans don't do that all that well, but the prosperity and the discipline and so forth in Germany, I think, kept some of this hidden for a while. But when the large numbers of refugees from Syria and elsewhere started coming through, the system just doesn't look like it's able to hold it. And in a way, one wants to think positively about the Germans in these circumstances. I mean, they perpetrated the most hideous terror of modern history with the Holocaust, but they've come together as a country. They work hard. They try to do good in the world. And this is just a mess. I mean, it's a terrible mess.
What was Angela Merkel thinking? I mean, to bring in more than 1 million Muslim migrants, I understand her intentions were good. She wanted to welcome them with open arms. They had these aspirations of everybody getting along and all being well. But Ambassador Woolsey, my goodness, they've got a real problem on their hands. What happens to her in all this, and what do you think she was thinking?
There's a saying in the military that amateurs talk about strategy and tactics and professionals talk about logistics. She forgot the logistics here. You don't let that many people in unless you have places for them to stay, unless you have food stockpiled for them, unless you have medical care ready. Germany probably could have done it, but they didn't. They were not ready to do what they were holding themselves out as ready to do. So,
Ambassador, let's turn back home for a second. You have 8,000 Syrian refugees right here in the United States of America that have been given amnesty. You have the president promising to bring in a total of 10,000, and Hillary Clinton, by the way, talking about bringing in 65,000 Syrian refugees into this country. Am I missing something here? I mean, no. Should we be bringing people here right now, given the situation the world is facing?
Well, even if one gives them credit for trying to follow American ideals, it is just ridiculous to believe that this can all work out just if we're nice. We can't rely on that. We either have to not let them in, or if we let some of them in, we have to have the logistics ready for them to be fed and taken care of medically and prevented from raping and all of the things that have gone wrong in Germany and elsewhere.
Well, the administration would argue that they do have everything ready. Do you think that that's a fair assessment, or are we not quite prepared for what we could be in for?
I think they ought to have their tongue in their cheek as they're saying that. I hope they're right. If they do let people in and it all goes well, I'll be glad to eat those words. Yeah. But I'm afraid it's going to be pretty chaotic if they go to those kinds of numbers.
Look, and to your point, a number of people in the president's own administration have said these people cannot possibly be vetted. So again, we go back to the question of why are they coming in the first place then? Thank you so much. Ambassador Woolsey, good to see you as always, sir. Thanks.
Good to be with you again, Trish.